Good evening and welcome to Around the OrkneyBowl podcast. We've only got 9 more days until it finally kicks off. There's plenty of action behind the scenes too. And welcome to Craig and Everett. How's it going, guys?
Good evening, Johnny. Good evening, Everett.
Good evening. Good evening.
Can we all just have a quick celebration to the fact that pre-season is finished? It's done. There are no more third string versus third string games. It's nothing but proper football going forward.
Oh yeah.
Well, until the season starts and the Giants end up playing the third string quarterback because the first two get killed in the first game.
Well, you know.
But yes. But nah, it's good to get it done. But yeah, there's one or two nice players I like, but there's a few surprise cuts as well, and some not surprised. And Everett told me the news about AJ Dillon.
Been out What's the news about AJ Dillon? I've not seen news about AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon is out for the season.
No, I just literally traded for him in a dynasty league because I've got Jacobs and he was brought. I traded for him. Oh, please tell me Baxter's not watching this because that's what I traded him for.
Oh, he'll be loving that one, right?
Like 5 minutes. I'm telling you, it was like 2 minutes. It was like 2 minutes before I joined the stream, and I got the notification. I was like, "Oh!" And I said, "Johnny, did you get it?" He said, "I didn't hear about it," and I told him. And I guess you didn't get the notification yet either.
I saw a tweet about the Wilson season with Rockets after it, and everybody twigged who it was. It's obviously the backup who will now be the number 2 until Lloyd comes in. Is it?
Oh yeah, that's Wilson. His name's Wilson.
Yeah, so
do you know what he's done? You know, I mean, it's Jacob's backfield anyway, but that's a bit sore because I have drafted Dillon in a few places, thinking that he's still the number 2, and I thought Lloyd was going to be out for a while, so. Yeah, well, what can you do? What can you do? Great news. Thanks for that, Everett. You're the pillar of wonderful news this evening, I have to tell you.
And if I didn't tell you, be like, how come you didn't tell me?
Here was me getting excited that we're going to be talking about our must-haves and our must-avoids, and we're going to be talking about promotion and relegation, the big thing of the OrkneyBowl, and you've just thrown me right off my game, Everett. You've thrown me right off. I'm just thinking about how many leagues I've got to go and try and get rid of Dillon in now.
At least you can go on IR. That's one thing. So.
Well, yeah, I guess. But, that for me, that's Dillon finished now. He was never that great to begin with, and if he's going to miss the whole season, Lloyd's going to come in. He's going to get a lot of action in the back half of the season, I would imagine, especially given, if we're going towards the playoffs again, if it looks like we're going to make the playoffs, Jacobs will be needed for the playoffs, So I think when Lloyd gets fit, Lloyd will start getting more and more touches as it goes on, So, yeah, I can see that being the end of AJ Dillon in the NFL, unfortunately.
Well, I'm sure Doug will be nice and happy he got rid of them 2 years ago. So we'll go through a breakdown of the OrkneyBowl. So obviously it's 96.
Here we go, yeah. So this is it, Johnny. Here's the thing, right? This is the big thing. Let's not forget, we're into year 2 now. Last year it was all about finding a division. Everyone's now in their division. If you're in Division 4, you want to get up into Division 3. If you're in 3, this is a new concept to you, I'm sure, Everett. With your American sports, you don't do such a thing as promotion and relegation. It's not in your vocabulary. So
it's new to me.
This is it. You move up or you move down. It's a big thing in soccer. You move up or you move down your divisions, So if you're sitting in Division 1, you want to be staying there. And if you're in Division 4, you want to get that promotion. You want to get up the divisions. You want the kudos of being in that top division. And, you can only win the OrkneyBowl from the top division. You've got to get there first before you can win the OrkneyBowl.
There you go. So 4 teams will go up and 4 teams will go down where possible. When it comes to the championship bracket, the top 2 teams will get a bye and guaranteed promotion. Then the 3 to 6 will play week 15, and the top 2, the winners will automatically be promoted, but then they 4 will be playing for the division championship, and the losers will be staying in that division. And then in the bottom half, it's the same. The 2 finalists in the consolation bracket will be staying in the division. The other 4 will get relegated. So they've all got something to play for. Well, apart from
That's it. You know, and
it's interesting.
About getting in. So the playoffs is where the promotion is won and lost. But in order to, you know, whether you're playing for promotion or whether you're playing for relegation, that's where the regular season comes in, you know. So get into that top 6. If you get into that top 6, you can't go down. You're only playing for promotion. And if you get into that top 6, you can still be promoted. And you've got a good chance of being promoted, you know. The bottom 6, if you're in the bottom 6, well, you got to fight to try and keep yourself up.
Well, that happened last year in St Magnus because Jack and Sean both finished 5 and 6, but then they hit form, and then they knocked me and knocked out. Was it Leeds last?
And it's why the playoffs are. It's why the playoffs are so, you know, and it's so important that, you know, I see the likes of, it's why I've had no interest in the likes of Chubba Hubbard this year, you know, because when Brooks comes in, he's going to go down and down and down in production. And I'm actually going to talk about this with one of my avoids, believe it or not. When you see it, you'll not believe it. But I'm going to talk about this with one of my avoids. But you know, I just can't get into on board with Chubba Hubbard and people that I think are going to drift off at the end of the season, because the end of the season is where it's most important. But see those people that are picking up like TJ Hawkinson, who's going to miss half the season, Nick Chubb, who's going to miss half the season. If these guys come into form, if these guys get on the pitch and they're anything like what they were before they got injured, they're going to be fresh coming into our playoffs, which is the end of their season, and they could be championship winners. They really could, you know. So people that are sitting with these guys on their IR, they could really be on to, you know, it could win them the championship at the end of the season.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
It's why I feel the bench is so important as well, because you've got, you know, in the bench, if you've not got good players on your bench, you are going to get injuries. This is the NFL. People get injured. People get injured all the time. So if you've got no one to cover from the bench and you're shipping around agency from like week 3, week 4, you're just not going to be there, you know. So that's why I also think the bench is so important, because when those players get injured, you've got to be able to fill it with decent players who are going to score you good points getting into playoff time, you know.
Yeah. There we go. So that's the rundown of the Scarabray playoffs. The top 4 from each division after week 14 will go, well, each conference 4 will go into a pot over the top score of the top 15, 16 go into the final. Same with the West Conference, and they play each other with the Scarabray. Obviously, Danny won it last year from the East Conference. Yes. Everett was so close last year. Hopefully, they'll do better this year. Just I'll mention that one for you there, Everett, because you were so close to getting there. So, yeah, that's it's a nice one. Obviously, Danny's got the trophy. So it's currently sitting in Dublin.
Yeah, so you've got a trophy, Johnny, but do you know what else he's got? A big ass target on his back. You know.
But then he's also proving the point. He didn't win it. He crept into the playoffs and then hit form to win it.
It's they're the most important weeks. And it's St Magnus and Happy Valley are the 2 top divisions, you know. So you got to get up there to get into the Scarabray playoffs, and that will be the winner of the OrkneyBowl for the season, you know. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing who's there and how far Danny can go in his in the defence of his title.
I know. Then obviously for year 2, I got a shield, like a plaque, for the Ring of Broadcar playoffs. So the top 3 teams in all the other 6 divisions will go on a head-to-head between the 15, 16 and 17, and the team with the highest aggregate over those 3 weeks will win the Ring of Broadcar playoffs. So it's like the Europa Cup, whatever.
Yeah, so it's
just for the lower ones to play for. So
that's it. Give a champion to the other divisions too.
Yeah. And then the Rousey Cup, this is one that also goes out throughout the whole year. I will share the spreadsheet and the thing just to move over to a different account because I ran out of bloody space. So last year, Tony Harrison won it from the South London Rebels. It was one of the highest scoring teams in the league. So it starts off with 32 groups of 3 teams, each playing each other over the first 6 weeks. Then the winner of each group plays in the playoffs in the week 7 and 8 for the last 32, last 16, week 9 and 10, quarterfinals week 11 and 12, semi-finals week 13 and 14, the finals week 15 and 16. And this is where you have to watch the finals, because Dave didn't set his team for the first playoff because he had a bye week in the league. But you still have to set your team because you're still playing for the Revsy Cup if you're still in it. I think he would have got pumped anyway because Tony's team was that high. But it's still a bit of a sore one, not picking your team because you didn't realise where you forgot you were.
Still in it.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a sore one. But yeah.
I think it was a learning curve for us all in the cup as well, Johnny. Last year, I remember I got rather excited, and my season was pretty bad last year, and I didn't do very well at all. But I did manage to in the last game of the group stages. I thought I was playing for second, and I thought second went through to the knockouts. So I was studying that game, and I was studying the wrong game, and I thought, oh yes, I've won it, I'm through. No, I'm not. I was out 2 weeks ago because the guy at the top had won them all. So yeah, that's.
Well, I was the highest scoring team. I was the highest scoring team in my group when I came last.
Yeah, easy done. Very easy done. It's all about it.
But yeah, it's fun. You know what I mean? You don't cost any extra. This is all part of it, Ken. I think the winner gets a mystery signed jersey, which I bought last January, so it's sitting here waiting to go. So they get us a little something extra, a little extra prize. So I think so.
It's a soccer style fantasy NFL league, and the fact that we've got promotion, we've got relegation, and we've got a cup alongside. That's the British way, Johnny. It's the British way.
Well, most of the people are British. And obviously there was a trade in as well. So there you go, that's one for you.
So there's a trade from the
I wasn't tagging this, I saw it in the OrkneyBowl chat though. So
what do you think of this one, Everett?
Right. When I first saw it, I was like, man, this guy gave up a lot to get Zamir White. But I mean, I don't see Jalen Tolbert getting. I don't think he's worth a flex spot really, unless it's best ball. And then Zach Moss, he better play better than he did last year to keep that spot because Chase Brown seems to be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Moss done quite well last year. He had some really good games. People forget that. I mean, Zach Moss was the kind of butt of everyone's jokes and stuff, But before Taylor came back, Zach Moss done really well in Indianapolis. He ran for a lot of yards and he scored a lot of touchdowns, So, I mean, you're right, Everett. Chris, there's a lot of talk on Chris Brown, and he could very well be the man that's about to step in. But Zach Moss is going to be starting. He's going to the first running play for the Cincinnati Bengals is going to be handed to Zach Moss, so it's going to be his to lose. And if he's running for a lot of yards, and there is room for two running backs now. There is room. But
I'm about to say they're more of a committee backfield. Zamir White's going to be he's going to be the guy in Las Vegas. So I like the Zamir White side.
I love the $60 fab just chucked in there. Did that make a difference in the trade or just?
Yeah, that gives them $60 more to get somebody that you can outbid somebody else for.
I hope you got $60 short trying to buy the breakout player at the beginning.
But there's always a breakout player. Remember, it was what was it? Puka last year was on waivers in week one. Kieran Williams was on a lot of waivers week one last year. The breakout guys come, so that 65 could make a difference in the sense of if someone really breaks out, everyone's going to go for them. You've got more fab than anybody else, so it could be a help. I don't hate what they've done. I don't, Tolbert's just a throwaway, isn't it? Just I chuck him in. I don't hate what Mark's done, and I don't hate what Boyd's done either. To be honest with you, I think they've both done fine out of it. Obviously, it's each to their own choices. I mean, Zamir White is going to be the man, and in Las Vegas, there's no ifs, no buts, no maybes. My question is that going to translate into fantasy points? I'm not convinced because I'm not convinced that the Raiders are any good this year. So that's my worry there. But I mean, Zamir White's the number one running back, so yeah, it's a fair trade. And Zach Moss is a kind of he's got at least more breathing down his neck. But I don't hate the trade. I just think it's.
I'm not against it. I like the Zamir side for me, but then again, I don't know what their teams look like. You know what I'm saying? this looks like it benefits both of them. You know what I mean? It's not
Well,
one sided at all. I don't think it's one sided. I don't think so.
Well, the Birmingham
I think it's a
Mastiffs for my
50-50.
pick for the division. So the Birmingham Mastiffs,
and it's one of those ones. It's effectively running backs as well, you know. So even if their team's low, you know, it's obviously they're trading running back for running back. It's not receiver for running back, so it's not a positional thing. It must be a taste thing. Mark must fancy Zach Moss doing well this year and better than Samir White, and you know he's managed to get Tolbert and 65 chucked on the top for some reason, you know. But yeah, obviously it's a taste thing, and we'll see how it works out during the season.
There you go. Next up, players to target. So Everett's first. So speak away, Everett.
So here we go, right? So this is the players that we are saying that we have been actively targeting and trying to pick up in pretty much every draft that we do. You know, these are our top picks at each position. So Everett, you've went for Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray at quarterback. So explain yourself, sir.
So I don't know if I told you guys. So for some reason, my son's a Bengals fan, right? So I pay attention to them, and I like the players they got, right? But was it 3 seasons in a row? Jamar Chase gets you 50+ points, right? And his quarterback is Joe Burrow. When Joe Burrow's healthy, he's easily top 5. We've seen Kyler Murray be top 5 when he's healthy in fantasy. So and then you know, a healthy. I've had Kyler Murray in previous seasons. He'll win you games with his feet. I mean, he had the last 8 games last year. He looked good. If that carries over to this season, Kyler Murray can give you the head start to get a good start to the season. And Joe Burrow is playing with something to prove. So I like what I'm hearing from Joe Burrow. Like he was on a few podcasts, and I think he's ready to bounce back from not being able to finish last season. Both these guys got something to play for, so they have weapons. They both have weapons, you know. So it's going to be a good season for fantasy from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the worry for Joe Burrow is obviously that his fitness and staying fit. You know, is his line going to be able to protect him? I do think it's getting better, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, it's and you'll see in a second. I'll not mention Kyler Murray right now, but I mean, I can see Joe Burrow, as you say, Everett. He has got top 5 potential. I mean, he is that good a passer. He is that good a quarterback. Doesn't run much, but you know, it's certainly. He throws a lot of touchdowns when he's on form, when he's on fire, and he is one of the best throwing quarterbacks in the league.
And they're pass heavy too. The Bengals been pass heavy, especially.
What you've got to remember as well is we are talking about fancy football here. We are talking about where you're getting these guys in the draft as well. You know, we're not saying Joe Allen, we're not saying Caitlin Hurts, because we're saying Joe Burrow, because where you can get Joe Burrow as well, you can get him in the 6th round, in the 7th round. You don't have to go, you know, the first few rounds to pick him up. Kyler Murray's the same. Kyler Murray's
same way,
average is the 6th round at the moment, you know. So you are picking these guys up later on, and it's letting you get your earlier team in as well. So that's why you're targeting these quarterbacks as opposed to others, you know. That's
because you could use those first 5 rounds to get strong in your running back, wide receiver, tight end, when you know you can land one of these guys at 6 or 7.
That's it. All so here's my quarterbacks to target. So these are as you can see, I am on board the Kyler Murray train. I mean, as he is a top 5 scoring quarterback when he's fit. You know, he has been a top 5 quarterback more than one season, I believe. He runs. The people forget how much he runs. Kyler Murray is a running quarterback. He runs for a lot of yards, and he runs in a lot of touchdowns. He's got an arm. He's got a bomb of an arm. I mean, you remember the Hail Mary throw that he got to, was it Hopkins that caught it? I mean, absolutely fantastic. And 6th round, cannot get away from it. So I'm all on board the Kyler Murray train. I have actively targeted him in just about every league I'm in. And I think he's going to have an absolutely fabulous season. He's now Harrison there. He's got McBride there. He does there 2 genuine targets. Like Michael Wilson.
Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
So I think Kyler Murray right there. And Jaden Daniels is right out of left field a little bit, I would say. Again, this is all about draft position, okay? And I'll talk about, I've got on my players to avoid. One of my players to avoid has got completely opposite here, but Jalen Daniels has played 55 games since he left high school. So through college, he has played 55 games of football. He is ready to play. He has legs beyond legs. I know it's the Commanders. I know they're totally in rebuild mode. I know, but he's got Terry McLaurin, who is a good catcher. And he's going in the 10th round. Please let me emphasize he is going in the 10th round, and he could be a cheat code, and he's got 55 games through college, and he is ready to go. So that's why I'm saying target Jalen Daniels in your league. You can load up, you can have your whole entire team and one of your bench players sitting ready, and then you can draft Jalen Daniels, and he has potential to be a top 10 quarterback this year in fantasy scoring. So that's
he's another dual threat.
Completely. So, that's in 10th round, Everett. 10th round, he's going in. He's averaging 10th round.
So in our home league, in our home league, Matthew, he got Jaden Daniels in the 8th. So
I would see if I had Jalen Daniels and you offered me Trevor Lawrence for Jalen Daniels, I would be offended. I wouldn't say no. I would say no with offense.
You're not a Lawrence fan.
In what, the 7th round, the 8th round, something like that, and I would take offence if you offered me that. So that's why I'm saying target these 2 guys.
So we'll go on to the running back next.
Upside from where they're being drafted. Next up, Johnny. So Everett, your running backs, Najee Harris and Ramondre Stevenson.
Yes. So RB1s that you don't have to go for early. You getting these guys 6th round, between the 6th and the 8th round. So I mean, the positioning, new OC at Pittsburgh. Jalen Warren's hurt now. Now it's Najee's hired. Najee to the moon, right? And then you got a rookie quarterback who's probably going to start because Brissett's hurt. And if Ramondre's healthy, we seen what he did 2 seasons ago. Top 15 RB. He can catch out the backfield as well. So these guys have a lot of upside from where you drafted them at. So your first 4 or 5 picks, those are the guys that give you the bump to get a head start in the season. And then the middle to the end of the draft, where the people are going to help you win, Najee and Ramondre will be the running backs to help you win the season.
It's very much you can target these. You can get both of these guys. You can get both of these guys, and you can target these guys. And if you go into your draft planning to target these guys, you can then load up at wide receiver to begin with. You can get the studs. You can get the studs, and you can go receiver, and then get Stevenson in the 4th, Nash in the 5th quite comfortably. So if you're rolling receiver, these are the guys to be looking at. I would agree. They are tremendous upside. They will get a lot of the ball. They'll get a lot of touches, like you say, and Naj. I'm very much on the team Naj, not team Warren. I am team Naj, but at the same time, I still think it's a bit messy, and he needs a lot of touches to do anything. He's shown that anyway. You really do need him to be back to his rookie year.
Yeah.
But Ramondre, I'm very much on board with.
Cool.
So here's mine. So now I've not spent 3 as much here as I'm saying. If I'm drafting late in the 1st round, then I'm targeting Jahmyr Gibbs. If I'm drafting in the middle of the 1st round, then I'm taking one of the study receivers and picking up Devon Achane on his way back in the 2nd. These 2 guys, I think, Devon Achane. Let me start with him first. He is an absolute beast. You've seen what he done last year when he came in. The problem you have is he's small, he's very susceptible to injury, and it's staying on the field. If he is on the field, if he plays 17 games, he'll be a top 5 running back this year. That's that's my bold prediction per se. I think the guy has got so much skill, he's got so much speed, and he's pretty much unstoppable. And Jahmyr Gibbs as well. The season that he had last year, you can only see him getting better from that. You know, it's year 2. He's had a full year behind him. Montgomery's still there to take a bit of the pain and the plays away, so that will keep him fresh as well. And I just think there's, the Lions just look fantastic. You know, they're just getting better, and it's a big worry for me as a Green Bay Packer fan, obviously, because they do look fantastic. And I think Gibbs is just on for another great season, and you're picking him up at once the kind of those stud receivers are gone, he's going about the back end of the first round, and it's hard not to pick him up there, and he's kind of best player available at that point, I would say. And then I've also said Devin Singletary. Now, I've seen that Devin Singletary because he is going in the 9th, 10th round, sometimes kicking about in the 11th round. He is the number 1 running back in New York. He will be the number. And I'm not saying that he's going to knock out the park. He's going to be fantastic and he's going to, do wonderful things and be a top 10 running back. He's not. But you're picking him up in the 10th round. He's going on your bench. And he is very much a player who you can plug in any given week and be comfortable that he's going to get touches. And, some weeks he's going to do something with them and some weeks he's not. But he's going to get the touches and he's a man that you can plug in. So getting him down there. Javonte Williams worries me. It's a messy backfield. You've got McLaughlin there. You've got the estimate. I know he's dropped a couple in pre-season, but yeah, I think that's just too messy backfield. But if Williams can be what Williams was when he came into the league as well, then it'll be his backfield.
But he looked good. Williams looked good last year. He towards the second half. It was just a nasty offense. Like they couldn't do anything, so they were behind, mainly because of their defense. But I like what you said about Gibbs. And Gibbs is so versatile. I mean, he can take off, and the yards after the catch is amazing. Devon A-Chain doesn't need a lot of touches to score you points.
No.
And then being a Giants fan, I was a Singletary. Need a Saquon Barkley to help move the chain. Singletary did fine when he was in Buffalo. He looked great with the Texans last year. Just he can catch out the backfield. He can get some yardage. I mean, he made some big plays last year. That's all we need to do. People to move forward. And he's been healthy. He hasn't missed half a season like Barkley used to for us. So I like these 3 picks right now.
Yeah, it's 10th round. You've got to remember 10th round. You're getting them in, And if you've went receiver heavy, and then you've picked up your onesies, and then you're kind of staring at the 7th, 8th round, and you've only got 1 running back, and then you're picking up a couple of running backs. At that point, you're picking up ones. Every running back at that point's got risk attached to them. So to be able to add Devin Singletary to that mix is in the 10th round is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Next up, Johnny, we have the wide receivers. So, well, we all knew where you were going here. Number 1 there, Everett, with Jamar Chase and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
So everyone knew who I picked first in the OrkneyBowl. Matthew Phillips can tell you who I picked first in the Union, which is our home league. I had the first pick. I took Jamar Chase. I mean, we know what you're getting him. He's by far one of the best receivers in the league, hands down. I believe you also took him too, didn't you, Craig? So you see,
I got him in I got him at 107, not the 101. I've got to say.
Hey, if I didn't take him at 1-1, I would never seen him. and St. Brown, St. Brown just gets better every season, and I mean,
so
there's only 2. I mean, the volume he's gonna see is either him or Laporta. If in the top 3.
So this is your if Jamari Chase goes before it gets to you, then it's Amon-Ra St. Brown as your pick from there. That's what you're saying here, yeah. So it's. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Do you know what worries me about Chase? What worries me about Chase is he's still not. Is he even been turned up at training yet?
He was at practice yesterday.
Was he at practice yesterday? So he has shown up now, because these guys that are holding out, it scares me to death about them, and I know that's Lamb being paid as well, so he'll be in today, I'm sure, but it scares me to death, these ones that sit out, because they're just not ready. You cannot be ready for an NFL season if you've not done the pre-season. You just can't be. If you've not done the camp, if you've not put the work in, these are big boys that are chasing you and hitting you. If you're not ready, it worries me. And these ones that hold out, you see them, they have such a slow start. But I mean, Jamari Chase is an absolute superstar, one of the best receivers in the league, as you say. So if that's your man, and that's where you go. And there's nothing wrong with taking him in the first round. And Amon-Ra as well, he's just going from strength to strength.
I mean, just sheer volume. I mean, double-digit targets every game. So
completely. And Jared Goff is shown he's more than capable. More than capable at quarterback, and he was written off after the Rams, and it was painted up like the Lions were forced to take him, and and here he is. What 3 or 4 seasons on now, and he's just getting better and better. So look out for the Rams. They are very much Super Bowl potential. And mine. So I've went with Calvin Ridley and Cooper Kupp. Again with the Cooper Kupp, it's I believe he's back. I am a believer. You're either a believer or you're not. I have chosen to be a believer this year for some reason. I know he's getting on, but he showed last year when he came back, he done well. He could coexist with Puka as well. Now, I mean, so when they won the year that they won the Super Bowl, Stafford and Kupp were the reason. I mean, they were absolutely phenomenal. If they are 60% of that this year, he's going to be a fantastic fantasy addition. Now, this pick was made because he was going in the 4th round. He was going in he was slipping to the 5th round in some leagues. He's not anymore. People have got wind of it. He's now going in the 2nd round. So I'm not as, jumpy of to picking him up in the 2nd round, because there is the risk involved. There is absolute risk involved. It could be a bust. He could get injured again. It was a bad injury that he got. There's a risk of re-injury. And for Calvin Ridley, I mean, he showed at Jacksonville. When he played well, they played well. He was such a big part of that offense. In Atlanta, he was such a big part of that offense. He is a prime wide receiver. Missed a year, so therefore being forgotten about a little bit, I think, But he's away to a team Will Levis has got an arm, and he is going to. I know that Hopkins is there, but Hopkins is getting on more than Ridley is, and I think Hopkins has had a hard season, a hard career as well, So I think Ridley's going to be the main man there, by a country mile. And I think the production that he done in Jacksonville will more than cover where he's been picked up in drafts at the moment, down in about the 7th round, 6th, 7th round, sometimes in the 8th round. So yeah, Calvin Ridley, I am actively targeting him and have him in a lot of leagues. Cooper Kupp, not so many, but I would love to have him in more.
Yeah, especially you can get Kupp. Well, up until recently, you can get him 4th, 5th round, and then without wasting the 2nd round pick on Puka, you can get Kupp in the 4th.
And for me, I think Kupp's going to outscore Puka this year. I see a little bit of regression with Puka, but I don't want to say too much about it, because you might see that coming up in a minute.
Yeah.
So we're going at the tight end.
On to your tight ends now, Everett. Now, so Dalton Kincaid and Dalton Schultz are the two that you're targeting.
If I could, Dalton I would. Kincaid, yeah. If it was me, these would be the guys who go. So yes, okay. I'm gonna start with Schultz, because when Kincaid, you already know he's easily 1A, 1B with Keon Coleman. Maybe he already has a rapport with Josh Allen, so that's your main target, right? He's he's gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see him losing the volume from last year. He's gonna put up numbers this year. He got a lot of red zone targets last year, and then Dalton Schultz. He's been solid. He was consistent with the Cowboys. He looked good last year with the Texans, and in the preseason, he was getting a lot of red zone targets. So if that's what we got something to look forward to. The tight end getting more touchdowns, and especially in a high power offense like that, Schultz would be a nice sneaky pick, and you can get him late in the draft. You don't have to pick him up in the 3rd or 4th to get Kincaid, where you can get Dalton Schultz later on, maybe between 8 and 12.
Yeah. I love the Kincaid pick. For me, there's like 5 or 6 there, and if you don't get one of them, then you punt to the back end where you're maybe picking up, Schultz or Pratt Fryermuth or, Luke Musgrave or something like that. But if you don't, but Dalton Kincaid is very much in that top bracket for me this year, and I agree with everything you say there. Dalton Schultz, however, I'll not say much about him because you might see him again in a minute.
Yeah.
But I'll go over that one in a minute when we get to that. But I love Kincaid. I love the Kincaid pick. And yeah, well, here's kind of where I've went. So I've went with Trey McBride and I've went with Brock Bowers. So again, in that top 5 bracket, I have McBride in there, and I'm not one to go early on the tight ends. I'm not one to go early in the quarterbacks, but the tight ends are, there's a lot of leagues that give you extra half point or something like that for a tight end catch, and they're getting more and more involved in the game. They really are. And Trey McBride, what he done when Kyler Murray came back last year, let's not forget they did finish the season 3-4, and that was with Murray rusty as rusty can be. And Trey McBride was his main target. That's where he was going all the time. It was basically Murray and McBride. Now obviously Harrison's there, but that's only going to help McBride because it'll take the attention off him a little bit more as well. So I'm all in on the Kyler Murray train, and that Kyler Murray train, Trey McBride is a massive part of it. And if he goes well, Murray will be going well, and at the same time. And for Brock Bowers, well, I mean, I know it's after I said the Raiders, there's not a very good team, and they aren't per se. But this guy is just special, I think. I think he is a Sam Laporta. I think he can have that type of season that, in his rookie year, it looks like he's made for the NFL. They are going to find ways to get him the ball. They've already said it. They're lining him up and out wide. They're lining him up as a wide receiver. They will find ways to get Brock Bowers the ball. And I just think that he could be massive season, and he is going right around that time where it's time to punt if you don't get one, So he's just on the borderline of that kind of, for me, he's just under there. You're getting him in about the 7th to 8th. So it's one that if I like my team and I'm happy with where I've got my running backs and my wide receivers, and I've not got my tight ends yet, I'm maybe looking at that's a pick up there, because where he's getting picked up as well, I'm not a fan of the receivers and any really of the receivers and running backs that are going around there. So I do find it easier to pick them up at that point.
Yeah, I've seen Bowers going in some drafts. He goes early, but sometimes you can get him in early second half, which would be good. I could see him being very valuable in the second half of the season as well. Like that's going to be. He's one that I think after week 5, you'll see his numbers go up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, he'll get better as the season goes on for sure. So next up, so your flexi targets said these are the kind of back ends of the draft. Who you're aiming for to fill in those flexes once you've got the main slots filled. Everett, and you've went for Roma Dunze and Jalen Polk.
Yes, sir. So Roma Dunze, you can get him after the 8th round. If you saw what I saw in the preseason, him and Caleb Williams already have that 1-2 connection, and Keenan Allen will be an afterthought. And then it might be the Roma Dunze show second half of the season. And Jalen Polk seems to be the man in New England. He is to say he was the wide receiver 2 in Washington and when he was in college is crazy because they say he has the best hands on the team. They look forward. He's eventually going to be the wide receiver 1. It'd be sooner than later, especially if the earlier the May plays, the more you're going to see Polk get the ball.
Again, I'm not so much a fan of Odunze this year. I'm just not convinced for this year. I think I would love to have him all over my dynasties. I think he's going to be a superstar. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed there in Chicago, and I agree with you. Allen's going to be the afterthought. But with Polk, he's kind of got a rapport with I think, I think they've got that. I would start Daniels over Purdy just purely because of his legs. But, Purdy's very, very, Purdy will throw you a lot of touchdowns, he'll throw you a lot of yards, but he's not going to run you much at all. And that's the thing, Daniels will run you a lot, I would say.
Well. Especially
for Polk, for me,
a hard one. So.
I'm in for Polk. You're getting him very later on, and I think he could be. He will be the number one there at the back end of the season. And Rome, I do agree with Roman, but I just think he's going too early. He's going certainly too early for me. I've not got him anywhere because he's getting picked up before I would be willing to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I can see that.
And you'll see the reason why. No, you won't, because I didn't put DJ Moore on my wide receivers. Thinking about him. And then here's my two. These are the late. This is a late show more than kind of flex spots. But so I have no problem picking up Jaden Reed in the 6th round, 7th round, 8th round. I have no problem picking up Romeo Doubs in the 9th round, 8th round, 9th round, wherever they're going. However, if I don't get one of them, I am actively targeting at the back end on Tavian Wicks because I think that Love spreads the ball around, and I think they're all going to have good weeks and they're all going to have bad weeks. I get that. I'm happy to have one of them though, because they're all going to have good weeks. So if I've not, if the others are gone, and I don't tend to pick up Reed or Dibs where they're going, I'm picking up others at that point. So I will target Wicks at the back end just to plug in because it's a high octane offense. Jordan Love has showed that he throws it about left, all over the shop, and he's shown that he's got a good connection with Wicks. Let's not forget, Wicks got a playoff touchdown. He scored in the preseason as well. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for, and I think he's going to show that this year. And Jermaine Burton, well, with what's going on over there in Cincinnati, as you alluded to earlier, Everett, he's got one of the best throwing quarterbacks in the game. He's got Joe Burrow throwing the ball at him, and with T. Higgins not happy playing on the, T. Higgins isn't happy with his contract situation. Chase isn't happy with his contract situation. So Burton, see when you're not happy with your contract situation and you get an ouchie, you're more inclined to say, do you know what, I'm not showing up tomorrow because I'm sore. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not risking getting more hurt, and I've not got a contract. So, I think Jermaine Burton will get more and more involved as the season goes on, and you're getting him in the kind of 14th, 13th, 14th, 15th round. So I think he's a good pickup at that stage.
And then they don't have Tyler Boyd anymore, so insert Jermaine Burton.
That's exactly. He is insert James. That's where he's going. That's where he is already. He is the number 3.
I agree with you on both of these guys. I like Wicks. In my home league, I ended up taking Romeo Doubs because he was one of the 4 that was available still. And I'm on the Doubs train. He's my favorite receiver out of the 4, so I went with him. But Wicks he's like you said the other week, is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. They're all
the one I'm not going for is Watson. For some reason, I'm cold on Watson. I fear his hamstrings, and he is the bomb ball down the line. And when you're going that pace down the line, that's when your hamstring goes, and his hamstrings have shown that they're dodgy. Yeah. So that kind of worries me. I'm on the. You're going to need to prove it first to me for Watson,
Right.
But the other 3 have shown me that they're all got. Watson will be as the most talented of them all. I believe, I do think Watson's the most talented. I've not seen enough of it yet, and until I do,
right.
I'd rather target the other 3. Johnny, if you're still in the background, can you flick us to there you go. So, Everett, your quarterbacks to avoid. Now, here's the controversial one: Jalen Hurts. And the Vikings quarterbacks, understandable, but Jalen Hurts.
the reason, and this is for fantasy purposes. If you think Jalen Hurts is going to score like he did last season, the season before, you are sadly mistaken. They are missing the key piece, and was it Jason Kelsey's no longer there? No, they have Saquon Barkley, so they can hand off to him in goal line instances instead of trying to do the tush push. So it's going to be, I don't know. They just added Jahan Dotson, so that's another receiver. Are they going to pass more? Probably not. But I don't see him getting the those red zone rushes unless it's a broken play. I just don't see him. I just see a lot of regression as far as touchdowns with the pieces they added. And then, I mean, they have a lot of mouths to feed in Minnesota. I know these guys, Justin Jefferson, and I don't want any part of that.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings quarterbacks is totally understandable. I mean, who does want a part of that, really? You know, it's JJ McCarthy was the only piece you would really have even considered, you know, and that's obviously he's gone now. So this is kind of what you're stuck with. I mean, it's who is it that picked up Nick Mullins? I mean, Nick Mullins could be in, but Sam Darnold, you know, as you say, he's got Jefferson, so he might do okay. But I wouldn't want a piece of those quarterbacks either. I've got to be honest. But
even if it's super flex, it'd have to be a push. Like I'd have to have Darnold to cover a bye week. That'd be the only way I want Darnold to cover a bye week if he's still the starter. Because he's had flashes of good games in Carolina. Like he's had good games, but we haven't seen that consistency from him. That's why I am out on the Minnesota quarterback crew.
Not even for Superflex. I love it. And yeah, Jalen Hurts. I mean, I hear what you're saying. And you know, he runs it. I'm certainly not taking him where he's going. That's for sure. He's getting picked up as sometimes the first quarterback, sometimes the second quarterback. And yeah, I hear what you're saying. In fact, I do. I hear what you're saying so much that Johnny flipped the page. My two are Josh Allen and Anthony Richardson. Josh Allen. 4 years ago, Josh Allen was a quarterback 1. 3 years ago, Josh Allen was a quarterback 1. 2 years ago, Josh Allen was a quarterback 2. Last year, Josh Allen was a quarterback 1. Here's my prediction for this year. Josh Allen will not be in the top 5 of quarterbacks in fantasy football. Here, now, don't get me wrong, if he finishes 5th, but see if you're picking him up as a quarterback 1, the first quarterback off the board, and he is the 5th best scoring quarterback, that's a loss. You lose, you know. So, all I can see is regression for this team, this offense. All I can see is Josh Allen. See, last year, Josh Allen rushed 15 touchdowns last year. That's the first year he's ever done double digits. Everyone thinks he's this big, mad rushing touchdown. That's the first year he's done double digits. He's done 9 one other year. That's his second best ever. He does, you know, and I see that being the same. I don't see that as them rushing in as many this year again. I only see regression for the team, and I see James Cook taking a lot of these touches at the goal line and stuff, you know, from him. And yeah, it worries me that he's got no targets, and I'm not saying he's going to be a complete bust. If you look at the last the second half of the season as well, now don't get me wrong, I think Josh Allen's going to start the season very well because they've got 5 pretty easy games in the first 5 games.
Yeah.
I think as the season goes on, he's going to regret. It's going to go backwards and I will be surprised if many champions come with Josh Allen at quarterback this year. There you go. I've said it here because I think he's got some hard games in playoff time, and I worry that it's. I worry for Josh Allen. Anthony Richardson. Now here's the thing. I went with Daniels as my player to target. Daniels is going in the 10th round. Anthony Richardson is going in the 5th round. Okay. Jalen Daniels has played 55 games since leaving high school. Do you know how many games, Everett, do you think Anthony Richardson, how many games of football has Anthony Richardson played since he left high school?
So about 28.
17. He has played 17 games of football since he left high school. He's, now I'm not saying Richardson is not going to be a fantastic quarterback. He's got a lot of attributes. His passer rating, his passing completion percentage is like lower than 50% since leaving high school in those 17 games. He's not got. If you take Pittman out of the equation, what's he got to throw to? Really, not a whole lot. He'll run the ball to death. Taylor will run the ball to death. But for this year, it worries me. And people are picking him up in the 5th round, and they're picking up Daniels in the 10th round. And Daniels is ready. I'm not convinced Richardson is just yet. And everyone's picking him up because they've seen him for 2 games last year, and he done okay, and he done well, and he run down a couple of touchdowns. But if you look at those 2 games as well, his passing wasn't perfect. It wasn't great, and I'm not. I've got him in a couple of dynasties. I've not got him in a single redraft because picking him up in the 5th round, there is far too much risk. And I think you're picking him up there at his ceiling. I think that's as high as he can possibly be this season.
Especially what me and you said with Kyler Murray. I mean, why draft Hurts? Why draft Allen? Why draft Richardson when you could pick up Kyler Murray a round or 2 later?
That's still them all. So it's and as I say, I'm not saying Josh Allen is a dud. I'm not nowhere near. I'm just saying if you draft him as a QB1 and he finishes as a QB5, that's a loss. And I don't think he's going to be the QB1 this year. I really don't. I think there's a lot of
you have to take him in the first or 2nd round to get Allen.
Exactly. That's it, and that's just not for me. So you're avoiding running backs, so players to avoid Barkley and DeAndre Swift, Everett.
Yeah. Barkley, if you want to win a league, I have yet to see someone win with Barkley scoring major points in the second half of the season. Those last 3 or 4 seasons, we haven't seen barely over 12 points. I don't think he scored more than 12 or 15 points in the second half of the season, especially playoff time. And DeAndre Swift's situation is not very comforting in Chicago. You still have Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, Caleb Williams. The way he plays, he can extend the play with his mobility, and he's always looking downfield. He's not going to check down. So, and if it's going to be a passing, like a screenplay, you're going to have Roschon or Khalil Herbert out there. I doubt they have Swift out there. So there's going to be a lot of regression more for Swift. And I think Barkley just goes too high for where you have to draft him to get him.
First round sometimes. So I can't agree more. I could not agree more with Barkley, to be honest with you, to the point. Do you know what else scares me about Barkley?
Jalen Hurts.
See, when you get these aging running back, well, Hurts very much. Hurts is going to take a lot of carries away from him. But these aging backs, when they go to new teams, they've been at one team for a long, long time, and then they go to a new team. They don't seem to be the same player. The regression does kick in. It's what worries me about Jacobs. It worries me about Aaron Jones. There's so many of them when they move on to that next team. The regression starts almost instantly, and I agree with you with Barkley. I see it regressing from going backwards from now on. And DeAndre Swift, well, what can I say about DeAndre Swift? Johnny, next page. That's what I can say about DeAndre Swift. So I've never been a fan. I have never been a fan of DeAndre Swift. I know that he's done okay in Detroit. He done okay in Philadelphia. I've just never been a fan. I don't know why. Probably because he went to Lions. But this backfield. And do you know who the other boy, Phineas Jones? Did you see what he did in the last playoff game there? Now that they're filling him in at running back, he ran for 113 yards and a touchdown, and looked good doing it. Now I know that it's it's preseason. He's going to probably be into the background, but it's another challenge here. Right. I like Roschon Johnson, and it's just going to be such a pass-heavy offense that I'm totally out on DeAndre Swift, where you have to get him, where you have to pick him up. And Travis Etienne, he's another one. Barkley's going in the first round, back end of the first, beginning of the second, certainly going in the second round. And I'm down on the Jags this year. I'm absolutely down on the Jags, and it's why I never went with Everett, Ingram. By the way, someone asked why not Ingram earlier on for tight end. It's because I'm down on the Jags. And it doesn't mean that I don't. Ingram will do very well this year. I think he will get a lot of catches. He will get a lot of touches. But I'm cold on Etienne. I'm cold on the whole offense. I think they're going to regress. I think they're going to go backwards in a division that other teams are going forwards. And yeah, so I'm avoiding Etienne like. I don't want him at all costs. I'm avoiding him.
Yeah, I'm surprised he got 18 up there. I think 18 be consistent. I just don't see. I mean, I like Travis Etienne. I just like if I can get him in the 3rd or 4th round, that's fine with me. Because you're not going to get.
Wouldn't be there. He wouldn't be up if he was going in the 3rd or 4th round. That's where, 5th round, that's where he should be going. He should be going down with those kind of your Mixons and your.
Right.
How is he going so much above Mixon this year, for example? It's
because I would take Etienne before I take Isaiah Pacheco. That's just me. But I think he's in the Pacheco, James Cook category as far as they play the same kind of style. They can break off a huge play. They get touchdowns, but I can't see myself taking them in the 2nd or 3rd, unless it's on the back end of the 3rd, and then like 3rd, 4th, 5th. I can see that.
Yeah, Etienne's just I'm out. I'm very much out this year. I've tapped out, and I even traded him in the dynasty. The only dynasty that I had him, I traded him, so I'm very much out. So who are you avoiding at tight end then, Everett? You're a wide receiver, sorry. So here we go. Puka Nacua and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, granted it was minor knee injury, like the swelling, the draining of the knee. That's at this point in the year, and then there's a lot of football to play. That might be a reoccurring thing. It might happen once or twice, right? He's not going to have nowhere near the production he had last year because we have Cooper Kupp back, and you can draft Cooper Kupp in the 4th or 5th without trying to live off the hype year Puka had last year. Puka's just too expensive where you would draft him at, and to only get half of the production. You got, like we've said it twice, a million times already. Cooper Kupp, where he's being drafted at, and the production, and you have to remember, him and Stafford already have years playing with each other. That's it's gonna be like Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams in Green Bay. It's gonna be back to that. And then Keenan Allen, I'm a fan of his. I just can't draft him, and that he could, if he would have come to New York, he would not be on this list. There's just too many mouths to feed in Chicago with a rookie quarterback. He may have a good first 4 weeks. He may, because he starts off strong, but every year after the bye week, it's downhill. And with the team he has now, it's going to happen way before the bye week. He's not going to give you wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 numbers. I just don't see. There's too many other players you can draft over Keenan Allen. I mean, you already have DJ Moore there, who's the wide receiver 1, and it's going to be him in the Doomsday. Yeah, and then there's just too many question marks with Keenan Allen's situation in that offense.
I agree with you 100% on Keenan Allen. Everett, it's one of those ones as well. He's got no affiliation with the team. He's got no affiliation with the new rookie quarterback. Whereas Roma Doomsday kind of coming out of college, the young boys, the young bucks, the rookies, so they'll be together, And Chicago's just paid DJ Moore an absolute ton of money, so he's very much involved. Cole Kmet looks like he's a big favourite there, and he'll be involved. And there's so many mouths to feed that I think, as you say, Keenan Allen's going to be the one. And it doesn't mean I do like Keenan Allen. He's actually been a kind of bogeyman for me in the sense that I've played him when he's when I've had him when he's been injured, and I've not had that, and I've been playing against him when he's been going well. But I like him as a player, but I feel that he's going to be the forgotten man of this offense. I really do. As for Puka, Johnny, next page. Puka Nacua. So
great minds think alike.
Cannot agree more. He's going in the first round. He's going as a top 10 wide receiver. And whilst I think he'll do fine, I think he'll be a top 20 wide receiver this year. I think he'll be a top 16, a top 15 wide receiver this year. I'm not sure he's a top 10 wide receiver this year. I'm not sure he does what he done last year. And he's going too early for me. So yeah, I'm on the Cup train, and if I'm on the Cup train, I can't be on the Puka train because I just don't see I mean, you do get two wide receivers in the same team being both in the top 10. Godwin and Evans have done it. There's a few others that have done it. There is quite a few that have done it. There has been, but I just think that Cup's going to take too much off him, and he's going to be a top 15, top 20, but he's getting drafted too early for me. And Brandon Ayuk, it's all about the situation. He's still being drafted in the third or fourth round, and you don't know where he's going to be playing. You don't know how happy he's going to be when he's playing it. And again, when players aren't happy and players are playing for contract, they've not got a contract, they're more inclined to sit out through an injury because they don't want to risk getting really hurt and not getting paid. So Brandon Ayuk scares me for the season. He really does. And even if San Francisco do turn around and pay him now, he's still going to be an unhappy chappy, with the way it's all went.
Yeah, the whole Brandon Ayuk situation.
There's a question on the screen for you guys.
So
Johnny, what are you thinking of these picks, Johnny? You on the Ayuk training with me as well? Do you called on Ayuk?
I don't know. I had Ayuk in quite a few places last year, so I was quite happy with him. But I haven't touched him much this year, to be honest.
Yeah, the whole Ayuk situation.
Yeah, I'm a Cooper Cup man. So.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Jay Jettas.
What do you think of the question?
Jay Jettas, A-Chain, or Kyron Williams? Hold up.
So 108.
Is it Kyron Williams in the 17th round, or you keep them all at 1-8? That's I need to know.
Well, I think if they 108.
I would be keeping Kyron Williams from round 17 all day long because Kyron Williams will be a much better than a round 17 pick this year. Kyron Williams is a second round pick.
I see what you're saying. I agree. Kyron Williams at 17.
Yeah, I had to Williams for the 17th.
Oh, yeah.
So
because you could probably
you can keep Williams from the 17th round, and you can have a pick in the first to the 16th, and then Williams is your 17th round pick. That's a no-brainer.
I would take out of Williams at 17, and there's so many wide receivers that's going to fall to you at the 1-8 spot.
Yeah,
I mean, I love A-Chain. The thing about A-Chain is he could, if he's so susceptible to being hurt, but I'm massive on him this year. I really am. I am on the huge on him. He is a proper guy.
The thing is, though, he might
if he's at
Jettas at 108.
That's what I'm saying. He can probably get A-Chain on the turn if he wants him that bad.
Yeah, he could get it.
You get A-Chain. Yeah, I
do love A-Chain this year, but Kyron Williams will have a great season. And I've been actively going after Kyron Williams as well. When I'm at the back, when I'm at the back end of that draft and I'm picking up Gibbs from my picks, I'm picking up Gibbs. I am also picking up Kyron Williams on the way back, and I'm filling up my running back room with Gibbs and Williams. I've done that in more than one league, and I'm very, very comfortable with it. So into our tight ends then, Johnny, let's run through the tight ends. So what have you got, Everett? So you're avoiding Cole Kmet and you're avoiding the Packers tight ends. How dare you?
Hey, I'm about to tell you why.
Smile at me while you tell me that you're avoiding my tight ends.
I'm gonna start with the Packers, and it's the same situation Cole Kmet's in, right? It's just too many mouths to feed. I mean, the only way, like I prefer Tucker Kraft over Luke Musgrave from what I've seen last year, but you have to wait for one of them to get hurt. Musgrave is going to be your starter from what I've seen, and then Kraft. There's no way you can't start both of them unless you're in best ball, right? And then Gerald Everett is going to be heavily involved in this offense as well, which hurts Cole Kmet. So it's the same situation. There's two tight ends that play that you need fantasy points. In the game situation, if I'm watching it, and if I'm Craig, I love seeing my guys on the field. But when you're on the phone looking at the app, I don't want to start these guys. It's just you don't know who unless you play Kmet this week, or I can play Musgrave or Kraft. It's just too much going on where had the Bears not get Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet would not be on this list. And the fact that the Packers have two good tight ends and you don't know which one to pick week to week, that's That's one situation I want to avoid when I'm trying to win games in fantasy.
I couldn't agree more with you, to be honest, on the Packers tight ends, and it's not that I've not got them, and it's not that I've not picked them up at the back end of drafts as if I've as a backup, or if I've not got one yet, I'll maybe chuck one in, but I'm not doing it comfortably, I'm not doing it happily. And as you say, I'm going to be sitting, worried that it's not going to be their week this week, it's going to be the other ones. Completely get that, and I completely get avoiding them. Cole Kmet, I'm a little bit hotter on. I don't mind picking up Cole Kmet purely because of where he's going. And he is one of those ones where if he's going that late, and I've not picked up a tight end, I've left it, I've punted in tight end, which I do often. He is one that I'll pick up in the last couple of rounds. I'm not as scared of Gerald Everett being there as you are. I don't think he's going to make a difference to Cole Kmet's production. I think he'll do okay. Again, no, you are absolutely correct with the mouse to feed thing. There's just so many of them, and any of them could not be fed that week, any given week. So it's a headache you don't want to give yourself unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Here's mine. So sorry, Everett. This is the only one that the targeting and the to avoid have clashed. But yeah, I've went for Dalton Schultz and Kyle Pitts here now. Kyle Pitts, I'll start there. He's supposed to be a superstar. I've never seen it, so it's again a case of show me what you're doing, and you're still having to pick him up. You're picking him up before Brock Bowers. He's getting picked up before Dallas Goedert, he's getting picked up before Dalton Schultz. You're still having to pay a kind of premium for Kyle Pitts, and I don't think he's earned that premium yet, so I'm avoiding him at all costs. And for Dalton Schultz, I hear it's a mouse to feed thing for me. You're very, 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 and I know that he's getting targeted in the end zone, in the red zone and stuff, but you're very tight touchdown dependent. I feel for Dalton Schultz to score you well, I think it's going to have to be touchdowns, because he's not going to go out there and get 100 yards and 150 yards. They're going to be thrown to those three wide receivers. They've got three absolute stud wide receivers, so when they've got a 1st and 10 at their own 30, they're not throwing it to Dalton Schultz. And that's why I've got him on here as I'm avoiding him. I'm just not picking him up because I feel like it's tight end dependent.
Yeah.
It's touchdown dependent. And so your flexi ones that this is the kind of back end of the draft ones that you're just absolutely not touching for any reason whatsoever. And you've gone for the Chargers running back room. In fact, it's just Chargers running backs, Everett.
The rookie probably be your best bet for the second half of the season. Gus Edwards, we haven't seen him healthy the whole season. We know the potential has always been a health issue, whether it be the knee, the Achilles. He's had a dark cloud over him, like three consecutive seasons. And then Kamani Vidal, decent preseason, I guess, but he has to wait in line. These guys he has to outperform. I'd rather pick up somebody I can plug in right away. Jalen Polk, Roman Dunze, people who's gonna guaranteed starters, and you can assess the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I can, it's one of those ones where I'm happy to I don't mind throwing a dart at J.K. Dobbins in the last, if he's still sitting there in the last round, the second to last round, because if he is fit and he does go, then, he's a very good running back if he stays fit and he gets going. Gus Edwards, he's going a bit earlier, so I'm not anywhere near him. But again, he's proved that he can, he's a bulldozer. He'll get you touchdowns if he stays fit. But I'm the same, I would be picking him up as you are sitting on the bench until you have proven yourself. So, whilst I've got J.K. Dobbins because I think he's got the upside of a better upside than ones that are going around him. By that point, I'm usually running back up and I'm going for the wide receivers, like you say. I'm going for your Polks, I'm going for your those kind of types of wide receivers where I think they've got more of an upside than these running backs do.
No.
For these are the two that I'm just avoiding, like all like cannot go anywhere near down the bottom. Now Rashad Bateman, drafted for 12th or something. He was certainly a first round pick for the Baltimore Ravens. So much he was going to be a superstar. I went with him year one. He was rubbish. I stuck with him year 2. He was rubbish, and it's I can't believe that he's still being drafted in fantasy drafts. I really can't. And I mean, Adam Thielen, it must be about 100 now. It's like there's so many young whippersnappers around there. There's no way Thielen can be any part of this offense this year. I'm sorry.
He was wide receiver 2 for a lot. He was wide receiver 2 for more than half the year.
He's a year older now, and he was too old last year. He was too old last year, and he's he's a year older now. I mean, if Adam Thielen is wide receiver 2 for the Carolina Panthers this year, they're going to have the first round pick again next year. How's that?
Yeah. Hey, but they have Deontay Johnson now, so I have no stock in Thielen as well. I'm with you on Thielen, especially with the addition of Johnson. He can't. And
cold.
And then they got 3 running backs they can use now into their scheme, however they want to do it. But there's been talks of how they're going to use Sanders and Hubbard. That's going to hurt Thielen more than anybody else.
These 2 guys for me should be in every agency and every league. See if you're in a 20-team league, these guys should be in agency.
No, I do not argue that point.
I'm sorry, but they should. So is that us for tonight then, Johnny? Is that the show over? Show done?
Well, that's 26 pages. That's enough.
So that is some people have still got their drafts to go. Their home leagues are still got to draft. I know I've still got 2 drafts to go. I've got one on Sunday night, an auction, and Sunday night, and then we've got the big home league, the Show Me the Money Year 11 draft next Thursday. So just a wee couple of things for you to think about as you go into your draft, and
well, we will be streaming both of those drafts as well. If anybody wants to join and have a laugh, so.
Yeah, I'll be watching, keep an eye.
Will be.
What you guys see what kind of schemes I could steal from you guys.
I believe our Show Me the Money draft will leave open for the other players to be jumping in if they want to come in and explain their picks and such, so that should be interesting if a few of them do.
I'm sure Doug might join us. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to the auction draft. That'll be year 3, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it used to be on Monday night.
But Monday morning now, so.
But Jack always does his home draft on the Monday night, and one year I had to do both at the same time, and that was a nightmare. But now I've got Page's home draft at 7 o'clock on the Monday night, and Jack's at 9 o'clock. But yeah, that'll be
busy man, Johnny. Busy, but you got to get the last drafts in before the season kicks off a week on Thursday. I hope everyone's excited about it. I know I am. I can't wait to get going. I can't wait for the season to get going. I actually really quite like a lot of the teams I've drafted this year. Unfortunately, my dynasty ones are on a bit of rebuild mode, so it's going to be one of those seasons where I'm hoping my redrafts go well, but yeah, we'll see. But I can't wait for the season to start, and we'll be back for the new season and reviewing. We'll be reviewing every week. We'll come in and we'll review the games and what's been going on in each division and keep you all updated.
Yeah, so around on episode, we'll be back for the 2 drafts, but the actual show won't be back till 2 weeks tonight after the season starts.
I'm ready to see how I'm ready to see how week 1 plays out.
Yeah, me too. Should be fun.
We're all frantically chasing to the agency.
Well, Elijah Mitchell's got an IR, so I've already moved him to IR.
So he's out. Mitchell's out for the season.
Yeah.
So Jordan Mason's draft stock going up.
Just went up.
I've got him in a couple of leagues, but yeah. But then that Garrido, whatever the name is, they've got him too, so they do like to run them. As long as McCaffrey's fit, none of them are going to touch it. So yeah, he did look pretty good. Anyway, thanks for joining us. It's been fun.
Yes, and remember that the cuts are all happening today, so keep an eye on, make sure none of your players get cut today.
Oh.
Well, the cuts are finished now because it was 4 p.m. Eastern, I think, when the deadline was.
Was it? Well,
yeah, the Chiefs were on the cutting spree. The Chiefs were cutting everybody.
I think there's one team. The Jaguars have cut a hell of a lot of people as well.
Yeah, I seen that.
Most of them are back.
I thought they just been elevating them.
But yeah, Unfortunately, Louis
Right,
Rees-Zammet's been cut, which is a shame.
Yeah, he's been cut, but they'll bring him back on the.
I hope so, because he gave up his bloody career in the rugby union you can always go back to it, I suppose. He's a bloody good player.
Still a thing to do. He's 23 years old. He's got plenty of time.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Or we'll see some of these on Sunday night if you join us, but this show will be in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you week 1 of the season. Good night, everyone.
Good night.